Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This video is a good example of how having an extra skill in your pocket can help you better serve your client and add to the scope of the project. While doing the 1050 quick fuel carburetor install, it was brought to my attention that my client needed his front brake pads swapped out. So I went ahead and did it for him. This little bolt right here holds the whole works together. You drag this slide and the spring out, and the caliper lifts up and comes right out in your hand. Most simple brake system in the world. Can't get any easier. As the pads get wore down enough, though, it has a very small diameter piston for the size of the pad. It tends to cock a little bit. That's what's happened here. And you notice a little fade. You notice a little bind. If you're lucky, they don't stick. This one hasn't stuck, but it was close to it. So we're going to go ahead and put new pads on it. Okay, so it's a torque bit that holds it in. I've already had this side off, so it's a little loose. I got to look up the torque spec on it. But when you put it back, you always put some red Loctite on it. Now, it's just like mid-70s Ford truck. You take the bolt out, take your flat nose punch, Okay, so once it's out, this is all it is to it. It pops right off. Now, the next thing you got to do is push the piston back in. And what I usually do, these pads have seen better days. This one's really worn. This one's got a little bit of life left in it. But what I do, and pretty much everybody else does, is lay that pad in there. Get as in the middle of the piston as you can get. You may have to check your master cylinder from time to time to see if it's squishing fluid out, so it don't mess your paint up. And this is one of those things where if you squeeze it and wait a second, it turns easier. It's also a little easier if you have a fine threaded instead of an Acme threaded clamp. It goes a little better, but you need at least a 6-inch clamp. These are bonded instead of riveted. All right, so we give it another little turn. It looks like it's the bottom down. And you'll know if it's not, because you won't be able to get them back on. Now, this car has had its brake lines rearranged a little bit. So it may be a little fun getting this back on here. But the first thing you do is make sure that back one will go in. Because sometimes when they coat these things, they get too much goo on these little tabs here, and you got to take a file and file them off, which kind of defeats the purpose of the anti-rattling if you go all the way through the coating, so you don't want to do that. But sometimes you have to a little bit. Now here's another step a lot of people skip. It comes with Moly Lube for a reason. And what you want to do is put a little bit right where the rotor is going to go. I mean, right where the caliper is going to go. Piston's going to push. And after you do it a couple times, you can get a good sight on that. And you don't get a lot, so you got to go easy with it. And then you want to put just a little bit right here and right here. Now this one's already got an anti-rattler made onto the back of it, so that's a nice touch. And just in case you're wondering, these are Perfect Stops by Wagner, and this is not a sponsored video, but that's what we're putting on this car today. And then you just pop this right back in. It can only go one way. And then here comes the fun part. I gotta snake it back on here. With the thick, shiny new pads. And there went half of my goo. Okay, so we reached in there and turned the wheel a little bit. See if we can't pick up some more room. All right, put the pad back again. Okay, so once you find the right angle, it goes on just as easily as it came off. Spin it back out, if you would please. Oh. All right, this will give you a little better camera angle. What that spring and swedge does, see how this closes up? I guess you can see it on the camera there. Yeah, you can kind of see it. And what you got to do is kind of hold up on it. And get it started. And what you don't want to do ever is hit this spring. If you hit the spring, it usually breaks in the middle. Now they still make them. You can still get them. But you usually have to wait for them. There we go. And you know, if it don't go and you tap it lightly, don't keep hitting it because it's not lined up. Use a flat nose punch, not a pointy one. Then before you put a Loctite on it, there's a shoulder on this bolt. And that shoulder goes inside of that tang. So before you put any Loctite on it, it's always best to put the bolt up here. Run it on in. You can usually do it with your fingers. This one's got enough built up Loctite on it over the years, so I'm gonna have to use the ratchet. And just make sure it goes past, and this one's not quite there yet. There we go. And we're in. And that's all there is to it. And I've got to go look the torque spec up on this thing. And we'll torque it. Push the brake pedal, seat the pads, and that should free up the rotor, because right now it's got just a little drag on it because everything's not quite aligned yet, which it'll line itself up once the pedal gets pushed a couple times. Okay, so the last thing we do is my friend Loctite. And then I got to go over and get the torque wrench, and then it's off to the other side. So this was a good example of how I was able to take a skill from my toolbox of skills, give my client a better product, fill a need they had. They'll be happier with the end product. They'll tell other people that I was able to take care of this problem for them, and it'll lead to more work, get to practice my skills, get better at my craftsmanship. Whenever you get a chance to learn a new skill, learn it, because you never know when something like this is going to pop up out of the blue. You know, you're over doing whatever to whoever's car, you're fabricating something, whatever, and they stick another facet or another side to it, and you are already prepared to reach back in your toolbox of skills and pull it out. Use it, increase the scope of the project, makes it a little more profitable for you, gives them a little better job, and everybody's able to keep doing what it is that they do and enjoying life in general. So, get a chance to learn, learn. Get a chance to use it, use it. Very simple process. Anyway, till next time, practice your crafts, learn a new skill, learn to get better by learning. Hope everybody's having a great day. Hope you found this informative. Until next time, this is Fab Race Mod Repeat.